So having street food after a pandemic shows great trust in the hygiene and safety standards of the food, as well as the surrounding environment. What does this renewed confidence tell us about the pace of a return to normalcy in China?
Sure. As the pandemic is gradually improving in China, the country's GDP growth for 2020 is still projected to be below 6%, according to Kerry Insights. So getting back to normal from an economic perspective will be really determined on how the rest of the world recovers. However, as part of daily, we're seeing that social behavior is getting back to normal. According to a Mintel study of Chinese consumers, more people are grocery shopping. 69% are spending more on in-home food, and 49% are spending definitely less on eating out. But as we're seeing, more individuals are actually going out in smaller groups. So therefore, daily life and dining with family and friends is definitely the new normal. Street food is a part of daily culture, of the daily life in China, and as it is in many parts of the world. So trust was already established between food stalls and the public prior to the pandemic.
Right.
So what it shows is really that people are moving back to leaving their homes and a reduction in social distancing. So trust is always going to be there.
Obviously, nobody knew this was coming, so you have a lot of companies who are perhaps still awaiting foot traffic and customers if they were perhaps a new business. What can some of these food stalls and restaurants really do to ease customers' concerns over food safety, especially given that COVID-19 is a respiratory disease?
Absolutely. I think that many restaurants really can use clear images and really easy to read product names and descriptions within their menus. Signage is going to be really big, so visibility about product sourcing and safety, where food is being sourced, is really, I think, going to be very, very important in the mind of the consumer. I think that technology such as blockchain is really going to go to another level, where traceability is going to be very, very important. 62% of Chinese consumers say that they are now even more rational in their purchases, and they're really preferring to think long-term when it comes to making their food purchases. So there may be some more plant-based eating, which is not foreign to the consciousness of the Chinese. Wellness and immunity products will continue. However, the food stalls and restaurants may need to address this on their menus.
And so how about street food in America? Are businesses like, say, food trucks or like side street cafes and diners, are they struggling as well?
Well, in America, culturally, in the U.S., we don't necessarily use the word street food, but we do like to purchase food from farmers markets, which is a little bit more important, and that safety is built in. But food trucks and food stands have had some challenges, especially in more of the larger cities where they're located, as well as events and festivals, which of course have taken a hit, not as much in suburban and rural areas. According to the IBIS world, the food truck industry really generates about $2 billion in annual sales, and compared to really traditional restaurants, which has experienced about a 2% growth, food trucks really represented about a 7% growth since 2007. However, it has been about, food trucks have been, the market has been about flat since about 2016. A lot of that having to do with the fact there's so much more competition in the market, right, as well as a lot more regulation. So they definitely have experienced some challenges even prior to COVID, but with that, food trucks have gotten very, very creative and finding alternative venues in order to service their products.
And we know that obviously Chinese consumers on their mobile apps are used to sort of ordering things. It's much easier for them to pivot when it comes to things like food. But what about in America? We're seeing a lot of companies are offering deliveries. Is that enough, though, to offset some of the losses that they're seeing in their business?
Well, restaurants have to approach their business model in a diversified way from now on, not just from one stream of income. So delivery services are one tool that restaurants can use in order to diversify that revenue, catering, curbside delivery, as well as expanding their location as a community partner. This can include providing commercial kitchen space for caterers, even selling local grocery products and becoming specialty bodegas. Restaurants never thought about themselves as that, but that is what they need to really start thinking about. There's even a new trend called ghost kitchens, where kitchens and restaurants during off-service hours are actually creating separate virtual brands and doing nothing but delivery through apps. So they're not actually a brick and mortar. They're actually servicing food through delivery out of the kitchen of an already established restaurant. And there's various organizations throughout the U.S. Within Washington, D.C. DMV Black Restaurant Week really partnered with a marketing company to be able to show restaurants how to engage their customers using their mobile phones and listservs.
Well, certainly a lot of opportunities you mentioned there if people are able to find them. Thank you so much. Erinn Tucker there, Faculty Director for the Practice of Global Hospitality Leadership Program of Georgetown University School of Continuing Studies.
Thank you, Rochelle.